The late afternoon sun bounced off the glass facade of the Civic Center, turning the wide plaza into a bright, busy blur. Office workers streamed out of the revolving doors, talking into phones, adjusting backpacks, checking the time as they hurried toward the sidewalk. Car horns echoed faintly from the street, where traffic inched along between buses and taxis. Near the main entrance, a woman in a cream-colored sweater sat in a wheelchair, hands resting on the metal rims. She had long black hair that fell around her face and a quiet, focused expression as she watched the flow of people. Her name was Mira Tan. To anyone passing by, she looked like just another citizen trying to navigate a city that rarely slowed down for anyone. Only a handful of people knew that inside the building behind her, on the second floor, a plaque bore her name, in recognition of Mira Tan, whose generosity helped modernize our police community station and support disability access programs. Mira glanced at the crosswalk signal across the street. The walk sign flashed white for a few seconds, then blinked back to red before she could even roll forward. By the time she pushed herself close to the curb, the cars were already moving again. She sighed softly. Her arms were strong from years of pushing this chair, but timing was still everything. At rush hour, cars rarely waited. Beside her, a police officer stood near the curb, assigned to keep the area clear and guide pedestrians. His dark uniform was sharp, his posture stiff with authority. He looked tired, irritated, the way people do when their shift has gone on too long. Officer Blake Turner pugged at his collar and scanned the crowd. He had already broken up one argument at the bus stop, written 2 parking tickets, and listened to 3 different people complain about things that weren't his job. Now he just wanted the crowd to thin and the clock to move faster. Mira took a deep breath and wheeled closer to him. "Excuse me, officer," she said, raising her voice just enough to be heard. "Could you help me cross when the light changes? The ramp on the other side is a bit steep, and drivers don't always see me." Turner barely glanced down. "You'll have to wait, ma'am," he muttered. "Can't hold up traffic just for you. I've got my hands full here." She frowned slightly. "I'm not asking you to stop traffic," she explained, "just to walk with me. Maybe signal the cars so they don't turn into the crosswalk. It would only take a moment." He exhaled loudly through his nose. "Did you not hear me? I said I'm busy. There's a ramp. Use it." A couple nearby slowed their pace, glancing at them. Mira felt heat rise in her cheeks, but kept her tone calm. "I do use it. I just can't move as quickly as everyone else. I thought, well, that's why the station put officers here, isn't it? To help keep people safe?" Turner's jaw tightened. Somewhere in her words he heard criticism. He had had enough of that for 1 week. From supervisors, from residents, from social media posts that never showed the full story. Now this woman in a wheelchair was lecturing him on how to do his job. "Look," he said, voice growing sharper, "I'm not a personal assistant. I'm here to manage the crowd, watch for suspicious behavior, and keep people moving. You're blocking the flow." "I'm just sitting by the curb. I'm not blocking anything." "People have to go around you," he said, gesturing impatiently, as 2 office workers stepped aside to pass. "That's blocking. You want to cross? Then be ready when the light turns. I can't babysit you." The words landed like a slap. Several people nearby stopped outright now, their expressions shifting from curiosity to discomfort. Someone whispered, "That's a bit much." Mira gripped the rims of her wheels. "I'm not asking you to babysit me," she said quietly. "I'm asking for basic assistance that costs you 30 seconds and could mean a lot to me." Turner's patience snapped. "Fine," he barked. "You want help so badly, let's go." Before she could respond, he stepped behind her chair and grabbed the handles. His grip was hard, fingers digging in. "Wait," Mira gasped, startled. The crosswalk signal was still red, cars moving steadily. Instead of waiting, Turner jerked the wheelchair backward, pivoting it sharply away from the curb to clear the area. The sudden movement sent Mira pitching forward slightly, her hands flying to the armrests to keep from sliding out of the seat. "Sir, stop!" she cried, voice breaking. "You're going too fast!" People around them gasped. A woman in a gray jacket reached out instinctively. "Hey, be careful!" But Turner was already pushing, shoving the chair roughly toward the building's side, his jaw tight, eyes narrowed. "You wanted to move," he snarled under his breath. "So move. I don't have time to argue." The front wheels of the chair hit a small crack in the pavement and bounced. For a terrifying second, Mira felt the entire chair tilt. Her stomach lurched. She imagined herself pitching forward, face first into the stone, arms pinned under the metal frame. She let out a raw, panicked sob. The sound cut through the plaza. "Hey!" someone shouted, louder this time. "Stop manhandling her!" Mira's friend, Clara, who had been exiting the building a moment too late, saw the scene and froze. Her eyes widened as she recognized the woman in the chair. "Mira!" she screamed, running toward them. "What are you doing to her?" Turner paused, caught off guard by the sudden chorus of voices. He looked up and saw faces, angry, shocked, phones held up, capturing the moment. "Everyone calm down," he snapped automatically. "I'm just clearing the sidewalk. She's obstructing the entrance." "Obstructing?" Clara yelled, hands trembling. "She was asking you for help." Mira finally found her breath again, chest heaving. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not just from fear, but from the humiliation of being dragged like luggage in front of dozens of strangers. I only asked to cross the street," she managed, voice shaking. "You almost tipped me over." Turner opened his mouth, ready to defend himself, then shut it again as he registered the eyes on him. He was used to people backing down when his voice got louder. This time the crowd wasn't shrinking, it was closing in. "We saw you," a man in a dark jacket said firmly. "You yanked her chair like she was a shopping cart. That's not help." A young woman held up her phone. "I got the whole thing on video," she said, anger in her eyes. "Every word." For a moment the officer's confidence wavered. He looked from the phone to Mira's tear-streaked face and then back at the building behind them. His station, his post. "Look, everyone relax," he said, trying to regain control. "We can talk about this inside if she has a complaint." Clara's laugh was sharp and disbelieving. "Oh, she will? In fact, I think your commander will be very interested to hear how you treated her." Turner rolled his eyes. "You think one complaint is going to ruin my career? People complain all the time." Clara stepped closer to the wheelchair, placing a protective hand on Mira's shoulder. Her voice dropped to a deadly calm. "Maybe not one random complaint, but maybe the complaint of the person who funded your new radio system, renovated your front desk, and paid for the ramp you stand next to every day." He frowned, thrown. "What are you talking about?" Clara looked at Mira, who wiped her cheeks with the back of her hand and forced herself to sit straighter. The shaking in her arms hadn't stopped, but her voice grew steadier. I only asked to cross the street, I only asked to cross the street, she managed, meeting his eyes. "Last year, your station accepted a donation from the Tan Foundation. The ceremony was in that lobby." She nodded toward the glass doors. "You weren't there, but your chief was. They gave me a plaque. They took pictures." The officer stared, disbelief slowly draining into dawning horror. You're that? Mira Tan? The donor?" "Not just a donor," she replied softly. "The main donor. The one who asked that part of the funds go toward training officers on how to better interact with persons with disabilities." She looked around the crowd and then back at him. Apparently, that part didn't take. The murmur that rippled through the onlookers was different now, sharper, edged with something like satisfaction at the sudden reversal of power.
"If you didn't know who I was," she continued, "that's fine. I don't expect special treatment, but the fact that you were willing to drag any wheelchair user like that's the real issue." Turner's mouth opened and closed uselessly. The weight of what he'd done began to sink in, not just morally but practically. He imagined this story landing on his commander's desk attached to a name that mattered. He imagined his actions replayed in slow motion at an administrative hearing. "Ma'am, I didn't mean to," he stammered. "I was just trying to clear the area." "You were impatient," Mira said quietly, "and you took that impatience out on someone who moves slower than you. That's all." Building security emerged from the entrance, led by a mid-level officer from the station who had heard the commotion. His eyes widened at the sight of Mira in tears, and Turner standing behind her, hands still on the chair handles. "What happened here?" he demanded. Multiple voices answered at once. "He dragged her. He almost tipped the chair. She asked for help and he humiliated her." The officer recognized Mira almost immediately. "Miss Tan," he said, horror flickering across his features. I'm so sorry. Are you all right?" She nodded stiffly. "Physically, yes," she said. "Emotionally, not so much." He turned to Turner, face hardening. "Officer Turner, remove your hands from that wheelchair, now!" Turner obeyed, stepping back as if the chair had burned him. "You're relieved from this post effective immediately," the senior officer continued. "Go inside and wait in the conference room. You'll be writing an incident report, and Internal Affairs will be joining us." "Sir, it was just—" "Now," the man repeated, voice like stone. As Turner walked away, under the hot gaze of the crowd and the cold gaze of the cameras, he looked smaller than he had 10 minutes ago. The uniform no longer made him untouchable. It looked, for the first time, like a responsibility he had badly mishandled. Later that week, in a boardroom with polished wood and long blinds, Mira wheeled herself to the front of a table. On one side sat the station's leadership, commanders, senior officers, internal affairs investigators. On the other sat representatives from the Tan Foundation. In the middle sat Officer Turner, pale and stiff, his hands clasped so tightly his knuckles had gone white. A projector screen displayed a paused video, his hands on the wheelchair, Mira's face contorted in fear, the crowd frozen in shock behind them. Mira cleared her throat. "I didn't call this meeting to destroy a man's career. I called it because your station asked for funding to build trust with the community, especially with vulnerable groups. I believed in that goal. I still do." She let her gaze rest briefly on Turner before addressing the room. "But trust isn't built with plaques and photo ops. It's built in moments like the one in that video. Moments when an officer has the choice to either see a human being or a problem to be moved out of the way." Silence filled the room. "I'm not asking you to fire every officer who makes a mistake, but I am asking for real consequences when those mistakes cause harm. I'm asking for mandatory disability sensitivity training, not as a checkbox, but as something evaluated and repeated. And I am asking that this incident be used in that training not to humiliate one person, but to make sure every officer understands what it feels like to be in that chair." The station commander nodded slowly. "You have my word," he said. "We will cooperate fully with any measures the Foundation recommends. Officer Turner's case will go through due process, and we will not treat this as just a PR issue." Mira exhaled, the tension in her shoulders easing just a little. Outside, weeks later, she would still need help crossing the street. Not every officer would see her as anything but another citizen in a chair. She hoped, however, that some would remember the meeting, the video, the way a careless shove had exploded into a citywide conversation about dignity. And maybe, just maybe, the next time someone in uniform felt their patience thinning, they would pause before their hands tightened on the handles of a stranger's chair. Because in the end, the lesson wasn't that you should be kind to people in case they're important. The lesson was simpler and much harder to live every day. Treat every person as if their story matters, even when you don't know their name, their title, or how much they've done for you behind the scenes. You never know when the one you're pushing around is the very person who gave you the chance to stand where you are.